Hello and welcome everybody to another Thursday night edition of Aquaholics Anonymous. As always, I've got my buddy, my pal, and my co-host Chattanooga Ed here with me. Ed, I appreciate you being with me as always. It's always a blast having you on here with me and talking to you. I'm doing something a little different tonight. I've knocked it back down to one monitor and changed the lighting a little bit. Hopefully that will help with the camera issues. We shall see. So far, so good in my testing. But that being said, I need to switch some things around real quick because I feel a little bit at a disadvantage, just the one monitor. All right, there we go. Got my live chat. Appreciate you all being here. Before we jump into things, I do want to say a huge thank you to Rico Stan for the $5 super chat before we even got started. So to start the stream off right, thank you, buddy. Very much appreciated. I will say I've not been able to acquire any more party poppers as of yet. I've got some ordered, so they should hopefully be here for the next show. And I'm going to pause this other screen that I normally don't look at, because it's the delayed one, and that's going to throw me off significantly. That being said, we are going to talk about, basically it's a top 10 list of community fish, Ed and mine, favorite community fish. We get a lot of questions, which is awesome, about what fish we recommend. So we figured I'll do 5, he'll do 5, gives us a top 10. Switch back over to that screen where I can see Ed, get my chat back there. It seems to be helping with the camera, so that's a plus. Saw party poppers at Walmart. I will have to check that out. Walmart is one of the places I never go unless I have to, but that would be a have to. So appreciate that, Mary Beth McCubbins. Thank you so much. That being said, we will, of course, get into the chat and Q&A once we get through our list. We'll be happy to take questions from you all. John Larson, yeah, we had discussed that, and that was the main reason I was going to stop the party poppers was the waste. But Ed has come up with an awesome crafting idea, because Ed's a crafty guy. Those will get put to use, so it's not just plastic going in the trash. And that's when I decided we're going to stick with the party poppers, because everybody loves those, and those are a fun time, and I enjoy doing it. So that being said, I'm going to freeze the chat on my end right there so I don't miss anything, and I'll come back to highlighted questions and comments once we get through our list. Ed, would you like to start us off? And these are in not necessarily any particular order, but number 10 on the list from Chattanooga Ed is, drumroll please.
Okay, well, it's a classic, but I think it adds so much color, and you can keep one by himself. Is throw a betta in there.
Absolutely.
You know, for a community, just make sure you don't have fin nippers, and we're talking community. So I've been leaving all the fin nippers off the list. I'm just saying nice guys, and actually, a betta by himself can be a pretty nice guy.
Definitely. Definitely agree with that. I almost put it on my list, but I kind of thought you might do that, so I did put some extras on mine, because Ed and I didn't actually coordinate these lists. Normally we do, but we're like, well, we're just going to go for it. So I've got some extras, and I know he's got some other things he can recommend if we do have.
I've got 7. So, because I didn't know what you were going to say.
And we can probably think of 4 dozen off the top of our head afterwards. Absolutely. I love it. So I'm going to go with number 1 on mine. Is a little bit different. It's a honey gourami. Only gets about 2 inches. And most of the things that I've got on my list are only about 2 inches max. That is because a lot of times we do get people asking for recommendations for some smaller tanks. Maybe you've got a 29 gallon or something. So I tried to keep everything where it could fit smaller tanks up into larger tanks, and you could just make larger schools of things with a lot of these fish as you get into bigger tanks. Didn't really go nano focus though. I think that's a whole list in and of itself that we could do something on, is 10 nano fish. Not that none of these will be nano, but nothing was specifically in mind for a nano tank. So that's my number 9, is going to be the honey gourami.
Okay, well, I love cleanup crews, and I have preached it forever. I think shrimp are great in community tanks. They clean up everything. They make shrimplets by the dozen, which your baby fish that you really love. I mean, I shouldn't say you really love, but I mean, if you're feeding live fish or live brine shrimp to your fish, if you throw in some shrimp, it's kind of like you're adding more brine shrimp just on the go,
kind
with
of,
the shrimplets.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It lets the babies hunt them and stuff, and maybe even a big one might, a bigger fish might catch a baby shrimplet once in a while too, but it's a great food source, plus they're great cleanup. I mean, they just do, and they're gardeners too. They eat off your dead plant waste. So they're just all around good for you. So I'm going with shrimp.
Those are a really fun one, and they're fun to watch. Now, I did have in mind on all of these. When I think of a community tank, I think of a planted tank, and you probably do as well. So I want to throw that out there. You don't have to have a planted tank, but that definitely will help, especially with things like the shrimp. Give them some places to hide from predation, so that they stick around longer and reproduce and continue to expand in your fish tank. I'm going to go with something not really cleanup. Most people think of them as cleanup, but kind of off of the other fish, and that is going to be a rubber lip pleco. Now, those do get about 7 inches, so you can't put them in the really small tanks, or at least I wouldn't recommend it personally. But, anybody that knows me knows there had to be a pleco on this list. Bushy nose plecos are awesome. I love them, I breed them, but I think the rubber lip is something just a little bit different. They're fun when you get to see them a little bit bigger than, say, the, oh goodness, I've lost the name of it. The clown plecos, those guys are really small, but they hide a lot. I've drained tanks completely and still missed them, and then found them when I was pulling out decorations and stuff, or plants. So I think that's one that gets a decent size and still kind of lets you be able to see it from time to time, but also adds something different to the tank. So that's my number 8. No, number 7.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with one of my favorites. I don't talk about them very often, but I love watching them. Is not coolie loaches, yo-yo loaches.
Yes, very cool.
I love watching them, just constant. I've got them. I had them in different tanks in my guppy room to try to help with the snails, because I overfeed my guppies on purpose so they don't eat their fry. But the snails were getting out of control, so I got a couple of those guys here and there. And I kept them in pairs. I know you should keep them in bigger groups. But I kept them in pairs so they'd have somebody to hang out with. But I've been going around and plucking them all out and putting them all in my 125. And they just constantly chase each other around. And what's really cool is it seems like they like being on the front of the glass, like the front panel, not the back or the sides, but they really like just spinning in circles and chasing each other in the back, and they just add so much fun. I really like the yo-yo loaches.
Absolutely. So there we go. Number 6 on our list is yo-yo loaches. Very awesome pick. I like that. Something a little out of the ordinary recommendations. I'm going to go with one that has gotten a lot more popular recently over the past couple of years, and that's the white cloud mountain minnow. Again, you're looking at something that's only about 1.5 inches, 2 inches max. Little bitty fish. So you can get those into a smaller tank. You can also do some really nice schools or shoals of those in larger tanks. And it's just a beautiful fish. I definitely would recommend you think about those if you're looking for something that's maybe a little bit different, even though you are seeing those more and more, which is a good thing. So that's, I guess, number 5 on our list.
Okay. So number 4, well, then I'm going to go with rice fish.
Ooh, I
love
like
my daisy rice fish. Now that rice, we always think rice fish can be cold water, or mainly cold water, but daisy rice fish are actually a warm water fish. They prefer about the same as guppies. I keep mine at 75 degrees. But that's the one bummer thing I think about the daisy rice fish. But I love the colors. I love how the boys are blue and the girls are orange. I love their lantern eyes. They are baby making machines. Or, well, I shouldn't say they're baby making machines, but they're egg laying machines.
Right.
And they're just constantly dropping eggs. So if you're willing to do the work, you can end up with a lot of them. It's just the process of pulling the mops or pulling your moss and putting it in a separate tank. And they're a microfish. They like little food. So I feed them brine, or I used to only feed them the micro worms and banana worms and things like that. But now I feed them the fry food because it's just so much easier and less smelly. And they do just as well, and they go crazy for it.
Absolutely. No, that is an awesome pick there. I haven't kept them. Well, I haven't done them in a community tank, but I think that would be
good point. There. You see, almost all my fish that I do, I keep by themselves. I'm sorry, I was thinking of nice little fish.
I think they would still do well. I just started to say I've kept them in a community tank, and I was like, no, I haven't. That would be false. So I was correcting myself with all. There.
Well, I keep mine with shrimp. So they have a shrimp and rice fish community. So I should probably add something else to it.
So I'm going to take, let me see, I've got, like I said, more than 5. So let me see what I want to leave off of here. I'll do an honorable mentions maybe, and you could do the same. So my next one, I guess number 3 on the list, I'm going to do the Harlequin Rasbora. Beautiful fish. They look amazing in schools or shoals and groups. Again, only getting about 2 inches, so small fish. You can put, several in a smaller tank or a large group in a bigger tank. So that's always awesome. But I don't think you see enough of them in community tanks. I know there are several people out there that keep them. I just don't see them as often as maybe I would like to. And again, these are all our personal preferences and recommendations. As we always say, go with fish that you enjoy. It doesn't matter how good of a recommendation is from anybody if it's not a fish you like. So just keep that in mind.
I'm going to go with my one tetra on the list because I just picked one tetra. It was like, what one? Because, pretty much we all know tetras are almost all community fish.
Yep.
So my personal favorite tetra is the black tetra, the black neon tetra.
Nice.
They are a great community fish, but they're so much healthier than it seems like all other tetras. They are so much tougher and can handle so much more abuse. I'm really good at killing tetras, but I'm not good at killing them. That's why I love them so much. I know that sounds terrible, but I love the panda tetras. I was thinking about doing that. I really think they should be called hockey stick tetras, but they're called panda tetras. They're a beautiful tetra. I love them. I love Congo tetras, but I still have to go with the black neon tetra. It's my favorite.
Absolutely. And I'm going to round off the list with number 1. Again, these were in no particular order, but number 1 here is the glow light tetra, not to be confused with the glowfish of different colors. It actually has a W in it, GLOWLIGHT. It's a beautiful tetra. Again, something that you don't really see a whole lot of. I left some of the more common things out of here, and I guess we could get to those maybe on the runners up here in a minute. But
yeah, because my top 2 I didn't do.
But the glow light tetra is an awesome little fish. I really enjoy them. About 2 inches again, so keeping it small enough to put in a smaller tank, and of course add numbers on as you get bigger tanks. So I guess that would be our top 10, if you will. You want to give us one of your runners up, Ed?
Yeah, I love Cory cats.
Absolutely.
In groups, I like them in big groups. I got a bunch of salt and peppers from HT Aqua not too long ago, and there's 10 salt and peppers in my 125, and they're all little, and they're just always everywhere. They're just everywhere I look, they're there. And then I've got a pack of, bronze, and the bronze are real cute because they just love chasing each other nonstop. I really love Cory cats. They're just so cute all the way around. I don't think you can go wrong with Cory cats.
You really can't. I had to mark those off on my list. So I'm going to give one of my runners up would be the zebra danio. Another beautiful fish, again, only about 2 inches. So back to tank size, small or larger. Awesome looking fish. Really fun to watch, really energetic. I think they add a lot of activity to the tank.
Now, okay, I know everybody's saying, why didn't I say guppies? But I really like keeping guppies separate from other fish just because they're kind of slow and they can be destroyed easy. I don't know. I think guppies just kind of hold their own party.
Absolutely.
But, maybe a big tank of guppies with just 1 or 2 showcase fish that are nice might work. But I don't know. I love guppies just on their own. So that's why I didn't put them as a community.
Gotcha. But that makes sense. That kind of was where I thought you were headed with that one.
But my favorite, hands down, community fish, and it's my favorite, I shouldn't say my favorite live bear, one of my favorite live bears, is a swordtail. You know, they come in a variety of colors. They are a little longer life than most of your live bears, but they take a lot longer to grow. And I got some from my local store, Aquatic Aesthetics. Some guy brought in a bunch of bright red ones. He was trying to breed them, and they never bred out. I don't think the guy waited long enough for them to mature, because I mean they were already big, but just in the last month they have started popping, and I've had them maybe 5 months and nothing. And I was like, maybe they just don't want to have babies in our water for some reason. And now I probably have 30 or 40 babies in my tank, and I just love watching them. And you know, the little boys look just like their dads, but little. I love it. But
absolutely.
Yeah, and when I was a little kid, I fell in love with the name Sword. You know, I think that's why I loved them so much when I was a little kid.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I guess my other runner-up, I'm going to have to go with the nose, since we didn't put those on the list. Romy nose tetras. I've been recommending those to a lot of people lately. It's one of many things, and I love seeing those in large groups. It's an absolutely beautiful fish. Again, a lot of activity in my experience. It's really fun to watch, really pretty, gives a lot of color to the tank, something that you can kind of see from a distance if you're not up close to the tank.
And another nice thing about them is they're kind of like living water machine. How do I want to say, testers?
Yeah.
Because as soon as the water gets bad for some reason, the white or the red starts to disappear in their face. And you better check your water parameters. There's something, it's probably too soft, or something, something's not right. And they get sick quick and die, but if you catch it right away, they warn you. And most fish don't give you, a day or two warning like they do. Most fish just belly up.
Definitely.
It's kind of a cool thing.
Well, that gives us 14. I feel like we should do one honorable mention to give us a group of 15.
Okay.
Do you want to take that one, or you want me to throw one out there?
Well, I left a couple off, but you go ahead.
I'm going to say angelfish. I mean, I think that's kind of a community tank staple, is angelfish, and that's kind of why I left it off, because that's almost always the first thing you hear when someone says, hey, community planted tank is angelfish. And I love them. I've got them in the big tank behind me in the 110 that you can't really see in this layout that I'm pointing to. So I'm going to put that as our honorable mention to give us a total of 15 fish. What do you think?
I like it. Can I talk a little bit about angels, though?
You go right ahead.
Because I wonder, because you have angels, too.
Yes.
I've had a lot. I only have 2 angels right now. But in the past, I've had lots of angels. And I kept them with discus. I kept them with larger fish, and I fed them meaty food. And when my discus passed away and I got rid of them all, I decided to go and try to put guppies in with the angels. And it was like a massacre. They were like piranhas. It looked like, and literally what you picture piranhas going with fins just everywhere. That's what it was. But they're prettier, so they got more fins spinning in circles. And it was just a massive, it was like a soccer game, just chasing the poor guppies. So it's like, I really think you got to bring them up with little fish. Like, have them little and grow them. I don't know. I haven't done it. I've always kept them with big fish.
Well, again, I think that goes back to every fish can have its own temperament, even within, like, one angelfish varies from another, same with Oscars, and pretty much any fish I've noticed. That being said, there definitely can be some aggression issues. Something like guppies, I can totally see that happening because of the larger finnage and being a little bit slower moving. Typically, with a lot of the smaller fish that an angel might destroy like that, they've got some speed to them, so they can kind of just dart off and get away. But that definitely can be an issue. It can be an issue with anything that's bigger than another fish, I find, most of the time. Anytime there's bigger fish and smaller fish, you've got that tendency. That would probably be one, like you mentioned, the betta on the list earlier.
Sure.
Would definitely want to keep an eye on it. You could successfully have a betta in there with angels, but that's going to be a very easy, typically slower moving target if you've got a betta in with angelfish.
Yeah. I don't think I would do those two. Well, angels like to challenge. That's just part of their thing. They don't necessarily do anything. They just like to do their little, look at how cool I am, wiggle. And if they do that to a betta's going to mean let's fight like a bull. I think a betta's going to puff up and want to actually fight when angel's just showing off.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to jump into the chat. We'll take questions and comments from there. I will say, if you're watching this and you want Ed and I to maybe turn this into a video, I hadn't talked to him about it, but I'm sure he'd be up for it. Let us know, and we can maybe do this video format and add some images of the fish that we discussed. That could be a fun thing. So let us know in the comments down below. Let me see here. There was Mary Beth McCubbins letting me know about the party poppers again. Thank you for that. Patrick Hardy saying hello, along with Paul Sotero and a lot of awesome people. Rico asking if I got a package. I did not see one on the porch. I did not check the mailbox because I honestly have not found where they are at now.
Mailboxes?
Yes, they moved our mailboxes. So we have like the big metal community mailboxes that have all the boxes together, and they've moved them to somewhere else in the complex. So I've got to figure out where exactly those are at so I can check that. Oh my God.
That's how I know how to get to your house.
Right.
Well, I make a left at the mailbox.
So the old ones are still there, but they're caution taped off and they're no longer being used. So you'll still see them, at least for now, in terms of getting here when you come to my house. But I don't know how long they'll keep them there for. Not sure what all that was about. But I will do my best, especially I'd forgotten you'd sent me a package, honestly, to go find that. Usually they put stuff on my porch, though, so I'd be surprised if it was in the box. Typically, packages, they just drop off at the house. But I'll go check there. Delilah's Critters is saying, Fish from Fever, going to have to ask for a huge favor here. Just tell everyone I'm number one. LOL. Delilah's Critters is number one. So there we go.
Delilah's so cool.
Absolutely. All right. Chat's going to jump on me because it froze. Yep, there we go. So let me scroll back up, see how far up I can get real quick. And again, sorry, the one monitor is kind of throwing me off a little bit today, but we'll get with it. Let me jump over here, and I will get all the super chats and stickers. I see several of you. I appreciate that. We're going to group all those together and say a huge thank you to all of you all showing love and support. Make sure I get the highlighted stuff here. Patrick Hardy saying, I caught myself putting myself into YouTube. Time off for now. I just wanted to say hello and hit the like button. You both rock and enjoy your shows. Take care. Patrick, I appreciate it. Sometimes you got to take a break from things, so I completely understand that, but I appreciate you swinging by to say hello, along with people like Jimmy P swinging through to say hi. I appreciate that very, very much.
And, we really appreciate all the people here hanging out, having fun with us.
We do.
Because it is the summer, and everybody's numbers are way down because so many people are off doing stuff. Their fish aren't in the front of their mind. But we're with a whole bunch of people where fish are number one, and we appreciate you all.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I mean, right at 100 people hanging out here, so that's awesome and very much appreciated. Awesome. And I do want to say, I acknowledge a lot of you all lurk and don't say anything in the chat. I do it a lot myself, so thank you all that just hang out and listen. Don't think that goes unnoticed just because you're not talking in the chat. Thank you all for being here as well. Collins Critter Cave saying hi, along with Collins Critter Cave again. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. So I'm just grabbing the highlighted things. Fishaholic, what's up? Says James and Ed, howdy to the fish fam. Any recommendation for a 40-gallon cold water tank setup? A heater is set at 68. I have some minnows and trying to make a community tank. Thanks, guys. Well, Ed, you were talking a little bit about hot and cold water not long ago.
Well, we were talking about the rice fish, which are great. But, wait, did he say community?
Or just
things for?
I believe that was yes. I have some minnows and trying to make a community tank.
These little, I can't now. I've lost I can't think what their name are. Goodiots. They're the X ones. Darn it!
Oh Lord, no! I'm not even gonna.
These guys are probably one of my new favorite fish, and I mean they've been breeding in this tank, and it's just a 20. I'm gonna give them a 55 in the basement and not put a heater in, so that way it'll always be probably in the 60s. And I mean, it'll probably be 60s to 70s because in the summertime it might be 70 out there. But I kind of like it cold in my house, so they're going to be awesome. I was going to ask James. They share it. Now the thing is, these guys are fin nippers, so you don't want to put. I think a minnow would probably be able to get away from them. I don't think a white cloud minnow would have a problem with them, honestly.
I think they'd be okay.
But I've never done it, so. But I'm saying that I think it'd be all right. But now I've got my bristlenose in here with them, and they don't bother the bristlenose at all. But the bristlenose, when I got them, there were 5 little ones. Right. I got them from Haley, Oddball Aquatics.
I remember that.
Well, now they're getting pretty big, and I've got like the guy that I really wanted with all the bristles.
Nice, very nice.
Would they be all right to be in cold, or do they need to be in a warmer temperature too?
Warm is definitely better in my experience. So I guess I was going to preface my answering to this is I don't really do cold water tanks, just because I don't have anywhere that the temperature would be cold water. I would have to, like add a chiller or something like that to try and get to cold water temperatures. You could do them down to that range. I've not done it, but I know people that keep them at like 70, 71 all the time. I feel like if 68, in my opinion, would be okay. I did have my tanks. A lot of them got cooler during the winter when the central heating air was out. So all of my bristlenose did fine. I personally wouldn't really expect much breeding going on at those temperatures, but I think in terms of the fish's health, you could probably do it safely.
You know what? I just had a whole change of thought. I need to put these in with my Cthulhu.
You do. That would be awesome.
So they're going to go in the 40. I already forgot what else I was going to put in the 40-gallon tank. Maybe I'll just put guppies. Because guppies and bristlenose is fine. And maybe I'll just do like a guppy tank there. I'm going to put angels in my 40 breeder that has my bichers. I'm going to move my bichers into my angel tank. My angel tank's a 75. But my bichers are getting too big for the 40, and I only have 2 angels. So I've been doing lots of rearranging in the last 2 weeks. It's been crazy. There are lots of empty spots and rearranged things in this place. It's kind of it's cool and fun and exciting at the same time.
Absolutely. One other thing I would mention, though, for the colder water tanks, you definitely could do neocaradinas in there. They could definitely do well. I know those were on our list earlier in terms of recommendations for that, but they definitely would do fine in there. It's amazing the temperature range that shrimp can handle. So that would also be a neat little addition. Hello to R&B Animals Rescue. Roll on down through here. And T-Bones, Fishies, what's going on? Good to see you here as well. Lost it. Chat jumped on me again. There's Paul. There it is. My Fish Tanks Aquatics says, what fish would you suggest for a 29-gallon hex tank? It will be planted. So 29 hex planted. I'm trying to think of how wide that is.
Did you want fish or plants?
I think it's a fish recommendation. What fish would you suggest for a 29-gallon hex tank that's planted? I honestly feel like I would do a centerpiece angelfish in there. And if it does get too big, because I'm trying to remember what the dimensions are side to side on the 29 hex, but it's got height to them. So that helps with the finnage. But I would just do like one centerpiece when I wouldn't do several in there just because of the size. And the good news is you could always trade it out. If it gets too big, take it to the pet store. They'll swap you for a smaller one. Pretty much every fish guaranteed for the most part. I would then revert back to our list of fish that we talked about earlier. I think that would be a really pretty tank to do. Most of the fish that we talked about, just a couple inches. So you pick pretty much any of those. Harlequin rasboras, that's a beautiful one. I think that would be a really pretty fish. Definitely throw you some cory cats in there. Do a group of 6 on the bottom. I know that it's not got a lot of footprint space on those. Usually they're taller. But But you could still do a little group of 6, maybe do pygmy cories in that, since it is going to have a smaller footprint. Or you could go with ember tetras, since again the side to side is not really big. You're planted. I'd stick some shrimp in there, neocaradinas, pick your color. I don't know how many suggestions you're wanting, Ed. I'm sure you've probably got some things you could throw in there as well.
I'd turn it into a puffer fish tank.
There you go.
Right now, I would put a log in the middle. I'd drill holes in it, put a nubia so it's going to grow all around it, and just let the puffers swim in circles around it. I think it'd be fun.
I mean, I do like that. Rico's saying it says it was delivered. I will check the mailbox tomorrow, figure out where that thing has been moved to, and I will send you an email, buddy. I mean, let's be honest, it's me. I might go hunting for it after we get done with the streams just to find it. Because when I have a package that I know is somewhere for me, I'm like, I got to open it now. So, but thank you, Rico Stan. Again, I can't wait to see what's in there and show everybody else what's in there on the next stream. Paul Stero says, my top 10, no order, pencilfish, rummy nose, brilliant rasbora, peacock gudgeons. That's an awesome one. Cories, Bosemani rainbows. I thought about doing rainbows, but since I don't really I have one rainbow. I didn't do it because I don't have the experience with it necessarily. But I definitely think they're beautiful fish and definitely recommend them. Let's see, black ruby barbs, autos, rams, and cardinals. I do keep discus in a community. Well, that's awesome. That's an awesome list, Paul.
Ooh,
Thank you, Paul, for giving us another top 10 video.
Yeah, I just thought of another nice one for that octagon.
What's that?
Rams.
Yeah.
You know, any type of ram you want. They're all beautiful. Except for the black rams. I don't understand why everybody is so in love with the black rams, and they're the least attractive ram to me. Oh, well, everybody buy the black rams, leave the good ones for me. But, yeah, the rams are just, I love them. They're super cool parents. You could get a pair of them and some tetras. I'd get black neon tetras because they're so cool.
Absolutely. So we've got M&C Aquatics and Whips World saying hello. Glad to see both of you all. And I like this. This stuck out, even though it wasn't highlighted. It's very well put. Dennis Christensen said, we are not lurkers. We are observers. Well, all of you observers out there, you are very much appreciated. And Dennis, thank you for that. I like the phrasing on that. Ashlight Cloud agreeing. See, we got some names popping up that I know are typically observers. But I do really appreciate y'all. I know a lot of people kind of slips their mind that there's this whole subset of individuals that are watching that they just never see, you know, their name's never seen in the chat. So as a quote unquote creator, I like to make sure that you all are mentioned and you know you're appreciated. All right, I'm going to grab this last comment or question here as soon as I find it again because it jumped. And then I'm going to say thank you for some of the super chats. Of course, this jumped around.
Sarah J says, those guppies on your ribs are awesome. I didn't know anybody had ever seen my tattoos on the side of all my colors of guppies all over.
Here we go.
No,
sorry.
I'm going to bet she's meaning tubs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You have got some awesome guppies. You really do, buddy. Matt F was saying, I have calico and albino bristlenose with my fancy goldfish. They do find 68 to 72. Well, yeah, there you go. Thank you, Matt, for confirming that. I kind of figured they would. I just hadn't really done it myself. So I'm always kind of hesitant to give advice on something I haven't personally done or witnessed for an extended period. All right. Let me jump to this other screen. Again, having one is putting me at a disadvantage. It did freeze, even though we're still on one screen.
It really would be a cool tattoo to get all the different guppy tails.
That would be. That really would be. All right. Let me see here. We have got a huge thank you to Rick Silva for the $2 super sticker with the Hey You pair. What's going on, Rick? Appreciate that very, very much, my friend. Appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Our buddy Dave's Aquarium Thoughts. Hope you're doing well, Dave. Dropping a 99-cent super sticker with the sunglasses smiley face. Thank you very much, Dave. Always a pleasure to have you around. Our good friend Carrie Habercorn. That one's for Dave there. Got applause lasted for a moment. Carrie Habercorn dropping the $1 pile of fertilizer on the chat. Thank you so much for that. Keeping the plants growing in the stream, Carrie. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Michelle Kinsey with $3 super sticker with the thumbs up that says top Sorry, it's a little bit smaller on this monitor than the other one, but we're top. Thank you so much, Michelle. Hope things are going well in your fish room. I haven't talked to you in a while, but I know you had a lot of awesome plans and a lot of tanks going. Whips World, what is up, my friend, with the $1 super sticker with the brown pile of fertilizer. Again, helping the plants grow nice and strong and healthy. Thank you for that. And I've got one more down here I've got to switch screens for because the studio never shows the bottom or most recent super chat. But I can find that via the chat here. And that was Colin's Critter Cave with the $5 super chat. Says, I'm not satisfied with the current amount of likes. Let's raise the number up by like Guppy Fry. Number up like Guppy Fry. Yes, I like that. Very much like that. Appreciate you throwing the super chat out there to say that, Colin. Not necessary, but always, appreciate it. Helps support the channel and the stream and, all the things that we try and do.
I got to go blow my nose. I'm so sorry.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got 98 people watching, 62 thumbs up. You all are amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, there's another one. But thank you, everybody, for the support. I'm going to run back up to the top here. And there was Matt. Thank you again for the info on the bristlenose. Matt, Sarah Sieber saying, hey, y'all, glad to be able to catch you live again. Sarah, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for everything. I've got that other information you sent me, so we'll get that compiled. Very much appreciate you, and I hope you're doing wonderful. Delilah Critter says, a question for Fish Room Fever and Ed, how do you keep your tank cycled while you're awaiting new inhabitants, or do you clean up and start fresh? So what I like to do, and I'm going to switch back over here so I actually know when Ed's back. We're getting used to this single monitor thing. It's a little different, but we're getting used to it. And I am on live chat, so that's a plus. I'm going to pose this question to you, Ed, and then I'll give my thoughts if you can do the same. The question was from Delilah's Critters, says, how do you keep your tank cycled while you're awaiting new inhabitants, or do you clean up and start fresh? So what I have found myself doing, and there was somebody else, and I'm sorry I can't remember who you were, but I feel like you're here tonight. One of our regulars, if you will, said that they've done this before, and I like to use snails. So I'll stick ram's horn snails in a tank, let them breed out like crazy. It definitely produces plenty of, nitrates and all that good stuff to keep your tanks cycled. Keeping in mind, this is a rabbit hole. I don't know if I want to go down the cycling rabbit hole, but that keeps them to a level of cycle that keeps a certain degree of beneficial bacteria in a tank. Of course, you wouldn't want to take a tank that's got a bunch of ram's horn snails and then stick 3 8-inch Oscars in it and feel like, oh, well, the tank is still holding a cycle because it had those snails in there. You're going to have a different amount of waste coming from those 3 8-inch Oscars or 6-inch Oscars than you are, 50 or 100 ram's horns. So just keep that in mind. But it does keep a level of beneficial bacteria going in there. Plants is another huge thing because really we're looking for a seasoned tank. You want a tank, and what Ed does is great. Ed, you want to tell them kind of what you do with new tanks?
Well, actually, the whole thing is about redoing a tank. And that's what I'm doing right now in the fish room. And I either completely gut the whole thing and completely clean it from scratch, or I completely drain it and then I refill it, because I don't want any type of not bacteria, but parasites or anything in there. Also, this is going to sound really bad. I don't want any guppy fry from the last strain in there to ruin my strain. So if I completely drain it and leave it dry for a little bit, I'm going to pull all the snails and stuff out and start over. That way I know I'm not getting a crazy guppy in one of my tanks messing up. Right. I don't want my blue Moscows all of a sudden to start coming out, I don't know, with sword tails or something crazy. I don't. So, and if it's a girl fry, you'll never figure out which one it is. That grows up. Sometimes girls look the same. So, I mean, it's really tough. So that's why I completely go from scratch.
Right.
With my tanks.
In terms of your cycling, though, you set yours up with plants and you let them sit.
Yeah, I let them normally sit about at least a month. And actually the next on my show, I'm going to show how I do my substrate. how I make my soil, what I put in it, and then how I cap it, and then I plant it, and then I just let the plants go crazy. There's always snails that go from plant to plant. There's going to be some live stuff going on in there just because of the snails. Absolutely. But that's how I cycle my tanks, is I let it grow slow.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, and that's a very wonderful way to do it. I'm looking for algae on the glass and all those wonderful things. I've got quite a few tanks right now that are empty, that I'm maintaining some semblance of a cycle on, or I'm maintaining a beneficial bacteria colony in, that have either snails, and I'm of course throwing some fish food in there and letting the snails eat that on top of all the things they graze on, or some tanks that I just sprinkle a little bit of fish food in to kind of maintain some beneficial bacteria and just let the plants go nuts. I've got one tank, I think the hair algae is about 6 inches in it now, from the bottom, and it's just letting it grow out, letting all those wonderful things and creatures and critters grow up in there. And then when I do start to put fish in, I'll just start off slow and watch my levels and go from there.
Yeah. One thing is I normally seed it, though, with an old sponge filter.
Absolutely.
I'll take a new sponge filter I just bought from the store, put it in a seasoned tank, take that one and put it into the brand new tank. So I'm automatically adding a whole butt ton of good stuff.
Absolutely. Sandy Rimiker saying, don't you got the axolotls in cold water? They are at the upper end of what I would consider a cold water, but they are doing just fine. Everybody's doing well. It may not be within that quote unquote optimal range that everybody thinks of, but I think that's a whole discussion in and of itself. Is that really the quote unquote optimal range is a lot larger than what we think of? I feel like we get, case in point, take your thermometers. They go from like, oh, you've got this 5-degree green zone, if you will, on your fish tank thermometers that you buy, whereas maybe that should be more like a 10 or 12-degree green zone. But again, that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down at some point. Roll on through here.
Yeah, just like my tubs alone. Just this summer, when I originally put the fish in, it was in the 70s. And then it got up into the mid 80s. And now it's back down to the mid 70s. We've had so much rain, and we are scheduled to have rain for the next 5 days or 7 days. So it's just so much cold water, but the guppies haven't, they're just going to town out there.
Absolutely. We've got Main's Tails, Fur, and Finn saying hello in the chat and re-upping on our membership. Thank you so much for that, Jess. Appreciate you coming back. Re-upping into the Fish Room Fever family. It's good to see you, Jess. It really is. I hope you're doing well.
Jess is awesome, guys.
I've caught the replays on. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Jess is super cool to hang out with. I've been having to catch the replays on your morning shows, but I'm trying to get back to where I can pop in and say hello live to you. But appreciate the support. Appreciate you being here. I think somehow I have managed to make it down to the bottom with about 15 minutes left. So if you've got, Axie's at 63. Yeah, mine are a little bit warmer than that. But I mean, they're all thriving and doing well. I keep an eye on them, make sure everybody's happy and healthy. And that's really, I think, the key. So I'll go off on a slight tangent here. I think really the key to any fish keeping is simply observing and ensuring that your fish are living in a quality environment that, provides quality inhabitants. So, guppies, Ed, you typically, if I remember correctly, have like mid upper 70s for your guppy breeding is kind of where you go for.
I keep it right at 76. Sometimes 77.
I know people that 70 is their ticket. That 70 degrees is where they get great breeding at. Maybe they could get more going up to 76, but they get great numbers at 70. So, it really is about, I don't want to say having an open mind. Of course, keeping the fish's health and safety in mind, but also understanding that these things go through wide variations, temperature fluctuations, in nature. And we've talked about this on some other streams, but even if you just look at a small lake, a smaller body of water, even you've got anybody that's, gone swimming in a lake, out in the summertime and dove down a bit, it's nice and warm up top, and then you dive down maybe 10 feet or whatever, and it gets really, really cold in that water. So our fish go through a lot of different temperature pockets or areas in nature. Of course, the warning I guess I would put on that is you don't want to do a rapid significant temperature change. So, if I've got a tank that's at 78 or 76, I don't want to do a 50% water change with, 60 degree water. I don't want to drop the temperature by multiple degrees really, really fast on them, even though, they can in nature go to different temperature zones, if you will, within a body of water on their own. I don't want to force them to go through like a 5-degree temperature change within a matter of 2 minutes or a minute. And that's just me. And that may be me being overcautious, if you will, but it's one of those things that, it's safety first for the fish. But I do feel like things can handle a lot larger area or spread of tolerance than we give. And when I say things, I mean inhabitants, fish and shrimp and stuff like that. They can handle a lot more than we give them credit for the most part. There are some things that are very, very delicate, and there are always going to be exceptions to the rule, if you will. But I feel like the rule that we go by now with this very small window of temperature acceptance is more of maybe what I would classify as a beginner's safety level, if you will. It's like, hey, if you keep them in this is kind of going to help you be the most successful for somebody that's brand new. But, as you broaden your knowledge base, cute kitty cat.
That's for Lumpy Dog.
Who was that? I just saw an ear real quick because I had your screen covered up. Was that Nico?
It was.
Hey, Nico.
Lumpy Dog was asking about where the cats are, and they followed me into the kitchen when I ran to blow my nose, and they're like sitting at their tray for snacks, and I never gave it to them. So,
absolutely.
But I don't mean to interrupt you, but Papa Shrimp is here, and I don't know if you know about Papa Shrimp, but he just had major heart surgery.
Yeah. I hope he's doing well. I'm glad he's here.
Yeah, he is, and it's awesome. And we want you to get better quick.
Absolutely.
They cracked his junk open and worked on him. My dad had that last year, and they gave him like this pillow that was a heart, and he basically just held on to that all the time because he felt so crummy. And I don't know if he's going through that exact same thing or not, but we're praying for you, Papa Shrimp. You're awesome.
So yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad to see you're here. I would say, because I know that you're a huge supporter in terms of trying to be in everybody's stream. Just take it easy. Don't feel obligated to catch everybody's streams because there's so many. As much as we love seeing you, don't get as much rest as you can and heal up. But we're glad that you're through and you're on the road to recovery. I'm sure it's going to be a long road. But we'll keep you, in our thoughts and prayers and best wishes, positive vibes, whatever everybody's beliefs may be.
Yep.
Pompey Ranch is throwing out a $5 super chat here. Let me find it again. Thank you for that, Pompey. Very much appreciated. Says, wait for the applause to end there. I'm worried now. There we go. I'm worried now. My 74 is cycled. Next week, I'm getting 40 cardinal tetras and 4 quarries. What should I watch for as far as the cycle? So what I would recommend, make sure that you have some strips on hand, whether they're the API testing strips or the co-op multi-test strips. Of course, there are the ammonia strips too, for both of those companies. Make sure you have testing strips on hand. Test regularly. If possible, I would take, like Ed mentioned, I use seasoned sponge filters a lot. And by seasoned, what we mean is it's been running in a tank, basically collecting waste and thus collecting beneficial bacteria. So if you can get a seasoned sponge filter out of one of your other tanks to move into there, or even if you have one in another tank, you can kind of pull it out and it looks horrible, but you can kind of smush out all the crud out of it. Maybe not all, smush a good bit of that out of there. That's going to get some additional bacteria into that tank for you. I wouldn't feed for the first couple of days. The one thing to look for though in terms of that would be that just look at how the fish look. If you're getting 40 cardinals, I don't know if they're being shipped into you or if you're picking them up. A lot of times they already haven't eaten for a significant amount of time because they've been in transit, either getting to the wholesaler and then shipped, to you, or getting the wholesaler then to the store, and then you picked them up that day. So just, take a look at their bellies, their abdomen, make sure that they're not going to starve out. Fish will do fine going, a week with no food. But if they've already been a week, that's something you need to kind of keep in mind. But I definitely would not feed for the first couple of days unless it looks like they really, really need fed. And then just gradually work to maybe feeding every other day or every, 3 days, a smaller amount. That's going to give more time for your beneficial bacteria colony to build up. And that way you're not putting quite as much bioload on top of a small colony of bacteria. That's really about the best information or best advice that I can give in terms of putting that many fish into a tank, especially if you're going from no fish to 40 fish. But cardinal tetras, again, they're smaller. Try that. You should be fine. Not a huge issue. It's not quite as bad as, maybe putting 40, good sized angels into a tank that's got no bacteria, or a small amount of bacteria, I should say. What are your thoughts, Ed?
You know what? I've totally forgot what the original question was.
I'm good at doing that to you. I'm good at.
Well, I've been thinking about Papa Shrimp an awful lot just in the last 5 minutes.
No, absolutely, I understand. It says I'm worried now. My 74 is cycled. Next week I'm getting 40 cardinal tetras and 4 cories. What should I watch for as far as the cycle?
I mean, if it's cycled, the tetras are so small, they're not going to bring up any type of bio load at all. And what's the cories?
Yeah.
How many cories?
4 cories.
Yeah, get 2 more cories.
Ed's advice is to add more fish. There you go. Love it. I love it. Absolutely. All righty. I'm going to roll on down to the next one. We've got about 8 minutes left. This World says YouTube wouldn't let me super chat last week, so happy birthday a bit late. Thank you so much for that. I had an awesome birthday. Spent time with the family. They actually planned some stuff. I see BJ Palmer screaming video. So Ed, you and I are going to have to collab on a video and put this top 10 list into video style for everybody. But
I put out a video today.
You did. I saw that.
You know what? I've got about 4 or 5. No, I think it's 4. 4 videos, tubbing videos that I've shot this year, but I don't have a good thumbnail. Isn't that terrible? So tomorrow, one of my water hyacinth looks like it's about to pop. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm going to take a photo of the water hyacinth popping. And hopefully I can get some guppies around it. And I'll use the same one for each one. And I'll say like tips or whatever, for each one.
Absolutely. I like that.
I don't know what I'll call each one, but yeah, I'll try to name all 4 the same thing and just 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I'll put one out every other day.
No, that's a good idea. I like that. I love your tubs. I'm envious, but that's a whole nother thing for another time. Mike's Aquatics and Things with the $10 super sticker with that yippee jumping up and down. I want to say cheerleader. It's not the cheerleader because it doesn't have the pom-poms, but the celebration. Thank you, Mike, so much for that. Appreciate you, buddy. Always a pleasure to have you here. As always, thank you for the support. Never expected, but always very much appreciated. Roll on down here. I see we've got 1 or 2 more questions before we wrap things up, and then we're going to go over to Chattanooga Ed's channel. If you're following the live stream train, he's going to be setting up a tank and talking about substrate. Paul Stero says the next addition to the collection will be trout videos in the 33 long. I'm so jealous of that 33 long, Paul. I really, really am. Just have to wait for the breeder to release some juvies. It's easier to get the tank than the fish. That's saying something because those 33s are not easy to get. All right. I think we are all caught up. Yes, absolutely. Scroll through just to make sure. So again, as mentioned, if you would like Ed and I to turn that top 10 into a video, we could definitely make that happen. Let us know in the comments. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. I've got so many baby blue dream shrimp in this tank over here. It's crazy. I need to do the video on this. I need to just start doing videos like I used to do and not worry about the fancy schmancy editing. But this tank right here, I've got no filtration, no nothing, and went LRB style. Just killed the sponge filter. It's still sitting in there. But it's been sitting for about a month and a half. No filtration, and the amount of life in it is amazing. There's no fish in here. It's all shrimp, and then all the other little swimming critters that you get in a tank, if you will. Also, Ed, in terms of the salt water, and I won't go too far into that, but I've got a ton of pods in this tank. So when the time comes, let me know. We'll get some harvested up for your tank.
And what are pods?
The little copepods.
Is that those bugs for?
Yeah, the little bug mandarin things for the pretty fish. We'll call them. You know.
I know what a mandarin is. I was gonna. Oh.
To do lots of people talking about surgeries. Yeah, that's Papa. I hope you're doing well. I really do. Just get your rest, my friend. That's the biggest thing. I know you're gonna feel, oh, I need to show up. I don't want to disappear. Because I know that feeling of people are like, oh, I'm used to seeing this person. Now they're not here. Did I do something? No, we want you to get healthy. We want you to, rest as much as you can. And we hope you a speedy recovery. That way we can, catch you at another event in the not too distant future, hopefully. Sorry, Matt. Sorry about that. Matt F is saying, stop bragging. And then so many Blue Dream shrimp. Yeah, I didn't mean to brag. That wasn't a flex or a brag. That was, I didn't expect, the population expansion. It's nothing like one of Lucas Brett's Blue Dream tanks, but we're working on it. But this is why I haven't even cleaned the algae on the glass. And I intentionally don't do that on a lot of my shrimp tanks because I really like to watch them climb along that algae on the front glass and just watch them sit on the glass and graze.
Sure, that's awesome.
MNC says 1 of 33 and can't find one. Yeah, 33 longs are really tough to come by, it seems like.
Yeah, well, what my fish store guy Rob at Aquatic Aesthetics said was he asked the manufacturers, and they are not doing the odd sizes right now. Well, they weren't last year. They weren't doing odd sizes last year because they only knew they had so much glass. So they were basically just doing the standards, the 10s, the 20s, the 55s, the 40s,
Absolutely.
And they weren't doing any specialty things. But he told me that they're on the list now. There's just not many out there.
Gotcha. Well, and that's it was nice that they did continue to do the $1 per gallon sales, even with the glass issues, the shortage problems.
Yeah, but I don't think they're doing it now. Now it's 50% off.
Huh.
The last two, I think, have been 50% off.
See, I haven't looked. I've still got 40 tanks out in the storage building. I don't look. I don't need the. No.
Yeah, it was awesome that they were doing the $1 per gallon last year. But you know what? The pet industry was doing crazy good or the fish industry. So
Absolutely.
People were at home. They needed to have something to do. So they were supplying us with tanks, and we're filling them. It was wonderful.
It really was. We got a huge boom in terms of the amount of people that came into the hobby or stepped up their interest in the hobby. So that's always wonderful with the fish fam increases in size. All right. So it is almost time to go to, Geek Boy says 50% off is going right now. So there you go.
I just don't know what I need.
Right. Now, the only thing that I would get in any type of near future would be a 50 low boy, and that's not going to be something included in a sale. But I got to get this 220 set up before I do that. Lumber prices need to drop back to normal. Don't ever do it, but that would be nice. But we're going to go hang out with Chattanooga Ed. We've been hanging out here for an hour. Ed, exactly what are you going to be doing? So the folks know and they can come over.
I'm going to show people how I do my sand cap. It's pretty much what Father Fish does, and I wouldn't know how to do it if it wasn't for Father Fish. I don't add all the stuff that Father Fish does, and we'll talk about it. And Father Fish, I'm not saying that Father Fish is wrong. I think he's amazing and awesome. And he has made my fish hobby so much better with his sand cap. So much more affordable, amazing plants. Because I am not a plant guy, but I have got plants coming out everywhere.
Absolutely. So maybe a simplified dirted tank. Would that be a good way to put it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, a huge thank you to everybody. We got 90 people here watching. That's amazing. Appreciate you all spending your Thursday with us. Huge thanks to the moderators, the members, the lurkers, the observers, the listeners, the super chatters and contributors. Of course, my buddy Chattanooga Ed for being here. Everybody hanging out. We're going to get a link in the chat for Chattanooga Ed's channel. You can follow us over there if you're catching this live. Of course, huge thank you to the replay crew. I know y'all are there, and I love you for it. Until next time, keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. Y'all already know it. Don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care, everybody. We'll see you.